concern with the great plan is the distribution of the money, not just the amounts, but the timing of it as well. I mean, because like with the SPLOST, it takes months before, once you implement a SPLOST, before you start seeing those receipts. And like Mr. Wright said, you never know what that amount is going to be month to month. So you can have a significant cash flow situation in which, can we make payroll? You really won't know. And also, there's got to if you implement this plan in 2009, you're going to have a time frame in which you have no tax. There's no money coming in from property tax, or yet with the great plan, sales tax. What happens during that time period in which school systems across the state may not be able to make payroll or pay their vendors? And that's a huge concern of mine. That, you know, I don't think that all the processes and mechanisms of this have been thought through, all the problems down the road.
And I understand they want to implement it in 2009.
Right.
I mean,
that's what I heard last.
Has there been any discussion about how they're going to determine, is it going to be based on population?
Because Lee mentioned Fayette would be negative.
Fayette would be negative, so...
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I foresee the only way that they can do it is see how much they received in a given period.
Right.
And then distribute it based on FTE or some other standard number that they have in their database.
But are they going to use the current ratio or current form? You know how they have, we have the, right now we have a, gosh, the term escapes me. What do we have?
The QBE formula?
The QBE formula, but what's the part of that that's the equalization? Don't we have the, where we lose money?
Less 5 mils is what they call it.
Yeah, the less 5 mils. So I don't know if they're going to do something like that. I think this, I think to sum it up, we're not sure.
And
I mean, I have not read the document.
It won't be, you know, I don't think we'll be sure until we get to the day they sign it.
Well, and you know as well as I do that what the version submitted is not, if this thing were to fly, it's not going to look the same when it comes out. So, but that is a very good point that Ms. Brock brings up, is that how are you going to distribute the money? And who's going to distribute it?
Another question. I know that this is going to hurt counties like Fayette County. Is there a movement out there from the smaller counties? I know that this is supposedly going to benefit the rural counties who they think they're going to get more money.
Well, you might want to speak to this in a second, but part of this is part of a reaction to the lawsuit that's pending right now that smaller counties have band together in their own. They've formed their own coalition, and they've actually sued the state for equitable education funding. And I think this is in partly response to appease that lawsuit. John, you might want to say, you probably know more about that piece.
Well, that's part of it. Part of this plan is to address the lawsuit for the more poor counties. However, the more poor counties, there's no guarantee what they're going to get or who they're going to get it from. Chances are funding from the more wealthy systems will go to the more poor systems, rather than trying to maintain what the more wealthy systems have, because we provide a lot of extras which are above and beyond, but there's other systems that don't have, in some cases, the basics, and that's because of inadequate state funding to begin with. So the state probably feels they can take from Peter and give to Paul. Another concern is what we have said to our legislators is, if we really want to address property taxes and you really want to raise the sales tax, then why don't you raise the sales tax a few cents and give rebates on property taxes? That is a whole lot simpler and very easy to do. And that is one of the solutions we have given. Raise the sales tax and use the sales tax to rebate property tax. So,
how has that been received?
Well, they have listened, but whether or not it's going to move forward in any way, we do not know. But that is something that we have presented, both from locally, our own leadership here, and also from state leadership with the Georgia School Superintendents Association and the Georgia School Board Association. Another thing that has been of interest is that they are talking about freezing property assessments, which other states have done, so that if a house is reassessed, that the taxable portion of that does not go up until such time that there is a new owner, or that it exceeds only a certain percentage of growth. So if the percentage of the reassessment is greater than inflation or the growth in the local digest, then you would not pay tax on that portion of it. And that is another part of the great plan, is they have instituted a freeze on property values. So that is another option that has been put into the great plan.
Are you aware of how Kathy Cox and the State Board of Education, what their stance is on this?
It is my understanding that the Georgia Department of Education is opposed to the great plan as it is currently written. They feel that the schools do need to have some local control over their own dollars as to what kind of programs they would like to implement. And I believe that the governor also supports that. So there's going to be quite an interesting session between what the governor is interested in seeing happen and what Speaker of the House, Glen Richardson, is interested in seeing happen. They're not seeing eye to eye on it.
Another follow-up question. What, if anything, would you like for the general population to do, the people in Fayette County? Is there, and as part of that, is there a website or someplace that they can go to get more information about this?
Hopefully, I know the GEC probably has a website.
Yeah, I think the most important thing our local constituents could do would be to write their individual congressmen, their state senators, their state representatives. And I know on our website, the www.fcble.org, I have it bookmarked, so I think that's the address.
That is.
We have a link very, very top of the page, and it actually connects you to our concerns, to this paper right here that voices our concerns. It also has a link where you can look up your local legislators on the Fayette County government site. So to answer your question, I think what our folks need to do is, of course, learn all they can about what's proposed. Ask us questions; we'll be glad to talk to them. But contact their local if they have as many concerns, which I think they should be, and they're opposed to this, then they need to write or call their local representative and senator. Is the best thing they could do for us right now, because the session is starting, so they need to let them know.
Another thing I would suggest to our constituents is to contact the governor's office to show that he has support for what he's doing, and in addition to that, to become informed about tax reform, because tax reform is important, and we do need tax reform. And I think they do need, at the state level, they do need to do something concerning the raising and the rising taxes. However, citizens also need to realize that government is being asked to do more and more and not given the funding to do it. So therefore, they need to also support government reevaluating what it is asking of its citizens and of its government entities and reducing those requirements. And I think that will go a long way as well.